Welcome to video 13 in a series of introductory videos for the SolidCAM CNC programming software. This video's topic is HSR. So the HSR Toolpath is another 3D recognition roughing toolpath that's available from SolidCAM. Similar to the ones we saw in videos 9 for 3D eye machining and videos 10 for 3D milling. This is just another one, and the purpose of this one is still a target recognition toolpath, but it's more for surface-heavy parts, kind of like thermoforming molds or medical parts, or a part like we have on screen now, where there's lots of curves, not really any kind of prismatic features. It is a 3D roughing toolpath, but the way it structures the toolpath, at least in my opinion, is a little more for surface-heavy parts like this, where there's lots of curves and that sort of thing. But it still works under the same principles of a toolpath from SolidCAM. It has the same interface and the same terminology. So we're going to go through it real quick. Let me just open up the first one here. And in the technology section in the top left corner, we have HM roughing, contour roughing, hatch roughing, hybrid rib roughing, and rest roughing. Again, we're still just choosing a simple tool. In this case, we're using a 1/2-inch flat end mill. And in this toolpath, it's called a constraint boundary, the constraint boundary being the limit of the travel. So similar to what we saw in videos 9 and 10, we give SolidCAM the ability to say, do the entire part, but for this particular area, just do this area in here. Now, I have it set to create it automatically, which is automatically just the outside edge of the part itself. But you have the ability to limit the travel of the tool using a constraint boundary similar to the working area we found in videos 9 and 10. So you just choose a sketch and you say, machine only what you find inside of this area, and you limit the travel of the tool using the external, internal, centered, or tangent area boundary relations, again, similar to what we found in video 10. Past this section is where you tell it the wall offset, floor offset, and the step down. Depending on the technology, you'll choose a step over. Z-top, Z-bottom are simply the levels between the Z levels that you want to look at the target. So as a target recognition toolpath, we're telling it to machine everything it sees of the target, but between these two Z levels. And then under link, you control your lead and lead out, how you want to approach it, and so forth. That's the common items between all the technologies. Now, in terms of the technologies themselves, you can take a look at the toolpaths and get an idea as to what they do. So the first one is the contour roughing. Contour roughing is similar to what we saw in video 5 in pocketing. Contour is just simply, it'll work from the outside contour, in this case the constraint boundary, and do that radial offset going inwards. We take a look at the toolpath. Very busy here, but if we take a look at it from the top, you can kind of see that it is working its way from the inside or from the outside going in, and it is doing a racetrack style toolpath. If we kind of get an angle on that, maybe we can get a better look at some of these where it is just offsetting from the different features of the part. And if we take a look at it from the side, you can see that it is actually just slicing it up in those step downs. So it still takes the target, breaks it up in the step over, step down selections that I put in there, but it is doing a contour style, that racetrack style offset. The same part, but now using the hatch roughing, you can see that it takes much more of a linear nature. It still goes around some of these circular features, but for the bulky areas, it is doing a zigzag back and forth. So similar to what we saw in video 10, you basically just choose which of these technologies best fits your model, your solid. So in this case, maybe the hatch roughing is a little better because I can take these long passes here. If there was a lot more twists and turns to this part, I might use contour. That way I can go around and follow those curves if I need to. HM roughing is kind of a combination of the two. You can see there's some linear motions in there, there's some contour motions. It basically breaks down the part down into cavities, bosses, linear, contour. It kind of just plays it as much as it can for each layer. But there are some linear motions, there's a lot more contours here. So it's a much more analysis heavy kind of strategy, technology for the HSR toolpath. The hybrid rib roughing is a specialized use of HSR. It's actually more for the fact that there's a rib there. This is an example of one of the feature requests we got from a customer. It was requested that HSR does that. We added it in there, and now we have special parameters to control just the fact that you might be roughing out a rib. Rest roughing, similar to, again, majority of our toolpaths, videos 5, 6, 9, and 10, you'll all see in each one of those for the profile pocket, 3D eye machining, and 3D milling, the idea that there's a rest option. Rest is simply stepping down the tool and doing what the previous tool could not do. So if tool 1 was a half-inch tool, this rest roughing operation using tool 4 being a quarter-inch tool, means that this toolpath will analyze the part. If we go into the passes section, we'll see that in the Edit Passes tab, I'm actually looking at the stock definition, and I'll say that this quarter-inch tool is going to do what the previous tool could not. In this case, any of these tighter areas, the area behind this boss, and so forth. So it analyzes the entire part to see what the previous tool, the half-inch tool in this case, could not do, and now the quarter-inch tool will be doing that for us. Likewise, if I do a second rest roughing with the tool 4, we can see here that, again, I'm telling tool 4 just to do that area within a constraint boundary. So I don't necessarily need that quarter-inch tool to do everything. I just want to tell it to do only these particular areas here. And again, because it's analyzing the part, because I have them both there, it's really just doing that one. If I were to suppress this one and recalculate that one, as a rest roughing operation analyzing the updated stock, it should now check that the half-inch tool could not do those areas, and with that constraint boundary, it's just going to machine what it finds in that area. And there we see, it's calculated it as just those areas there. That's what the half-inch tool could not do. Now this quarter-inch tool is going to come in and just do that area there. So as a roughing toolpath, it is another option of the list of 3D roughing toolpaths. We had 3D eye machining in video 9, 3D milling in video 10. In this one, video 13, we're basically just talking about HSR, and it is another option for 3D milling if you have a part such as this one where there's a lot more curves and a lot more tapers and such. Any questions on this or anything else from SolidCAM, you can always call us at 1-866-975-1115 extension 2, or you can submit your questions or your parts via the ticket system at solidcamsupport.com. Stay tuned for the rest of the videos on this YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.